Well, hello again. I look forward today to talk about the individual chart and how it works. And there's so much to learn, but we have to take it in small bites. We could go on for a year. Maybe we will. Okay, so I mentioned already about the seasonal chart, the equator, and then how things were divided into the highest point, summer solstice, spring, fall, winter, lowest below the equator, and how these four sectors, four seasons were divided into the beginning, middle, and end of each season, forming the 12 sectors of space that were defined later on as signs of the zodiac, and how they were divided further into little increments where we have stars that mark these little increments so we know when you're born exactly. And because we have these stars, we have little 9 increments per sector, we have 108 possible energies, so we have 108 names of the planets, each of the planets, depending on where they're located in this circle. Okay, so the ancients thought about this and said, all right, we want to find out what season we're born in, where the sun and the moon, especially the solar energy, our purpose, our soul was when we're born, and that gives us an idea about our nature. So we look at this and we say, what's our sun sign basically? Were we born in the peak of summer in Leo, what used to be called Leo, the number 5 sector? We'll keep the labels. It was confusing, but if we keep the labels, at least we have some idea of it, of the energies, because they were defined. Ultimately, if the sages had just used numbers, it would have been clear. Number 5 sector, which always represents Leo qualities. Number 3 sector, which always represents Gemini qualities. Number 1 sector, that always represents Aries qualities. So instead of using the name of a constellation that keeps changing in the sky, instead of sticking to 2,000 years, we just call it number 1 sector with Aries qualities. I hope astrology goes in that direction, because then 10,000 years from now, we won't have confusion like we do now between West and East. In the East, they go by, we go in the East, people go by the literal positions 2,000 years ago, which means that you celebrate the first day of spring in the middle of spring. You say the sun in Aries would be here at this time, because Pisces now starts, the constellation Pisces starts the Aries sector, the number 1 sector. So it got confusing because the constellations rotate every 2,100 years. So 10,000 years from now, it will be completely different. If we don't understand this matrix, this understanding that was there even in Stonehenge and earlier circles, that this was kind of the basis of the year and the energies, then we won't know how to interpret properly. In the West, some of the scientists like Galileo and Copernicus and Isaac Newton and Carl Jung, they understood that it's about these spatial sectors that have different energies rather than the constellations, which keep shifting. So in the West, the Western astrology, they use what's called tropical zodiac, where they always start with first day of spring as the equinox, which actually the ancient texts, especially I remember reading in the Srimad Bhagavatam, they say when the day and night are equal, and the sun starts going above the equator, that is the beginning of the year. And then there are 12 adityas, or 12 energies of the sun that correspond to each of these sectors. And there are even angels, different devatas that are associated, different rishis associated, sages associated. So it's very clear this is what they meant. Equator, 12 sectors, 12 times of the year, that's the basis of the astrology. Now, to duplicate that on a smaller level, then you go, okay, now we've got your sun sign. We know, let's say that you're born during, let's say, Virgo. Maybe you're born during the time when you've got everybody works together, so you've got the service-oriented awareness that is partaking of that time of the year when everybody focuses, even the animals focus on gathering things and working together to get ready for the winter. So they gather, that's the Virgo focused, problem-solving, intellect quality of consciousness. So if you're born then, the sun is there in that position, you're born that month, you have some idea about yourself. Okay, I'm born at that time. Or I'm born at the time when the sun just came up over the equator, and what used to be called Aries, the number 1 sector, first month of spring, and you have that creative energy. You partake of, that solar energy that's coming back, all the plants growing. You're part of it. And if you're born during the time of the rainy, when it rains, let's say what used to be called Cancer, number 4 sector, then you might have your whole body is more liquid, or the emotions might be more flowing because there's more softness in the air at that time from rain. Okay, so water, water sign. So now we look at the individual chart, and it's very similar, except here we have, instead of the equator, we have the horizon. And we've taken here, like it's sunrise. So you start with sunrise, and we're saying sunrise, the first day of spring. So Aries, the way the Earth rotates, each of these sectors of space that we defined here, each of these signs of the zodiac, they rotate like above the horizon. So first comes up this one, Aries, what used to be called number 1 sector, or Aries, over the horizon. Then the next one comes up. Every 2 hours you have a different one of these rising. So at the moment that you're born, you're looking at the dome of the sky above you and the dome of the sky below you. And you still have a circle of these so-called zodiac positions, these spatial positions, rising and falling. They're circling. And in this case, we're looking at the sun, as if you were born right when the sun is rising, goes to its highest above the horizon, then it's at the horizon, and then it's the lowest below the horizon at midnight. So this really reflects quite a bit, very much like what we call the 4 points of the seasons, the equinoxes, and then the highest point of the sun above the equator in this case. Here we have the horizon, and then the lowest point. And this is a very interesting thing, because if you are born and you have, let's say, a planet down here, it pulls down, it's on the other side of the Earth, it pulls down on you the most, because you're here, let's say. And so if it's highest above you, then it pulls up, it shines down on you, it influences you. And if it's right here at the horizon where you're just looking, or across from you, that's a very powerful energy. And so the ancients said these are called the corners, the kendras, the 4 corners, because they have the greatest impact. If there's a planet up there, it will pull you up, and it will give you energy. If it's down here, it pulls you inward. If it's here at the horizon, it kind of triggers your energies. And also here at the horizon where you are, or across from you. And then they said we divide these 4 positions, just like we did with the yearly chart. We've divided into 4 sectors, and then we have the beginning, the middle, and end of each sector. So the beginning, the middle, and the end of each. So they come up periodically like that every 2 hours. So I've put down the time, 6 o'clock in this case if it's sun rising, and then you've got, the next 2 hours, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, high noon, and so on down to midnight. And they said to themselves, well, the people who invented astrology, they said, well, any planets up here, they they are in the area of action. They activate things. And any area, any planets down here, they pull you inward and they're more home life oriented. So you're either an extrovert if you have all your planets up here, or more of an introvert, or you're a balance of the two. So that's how you can look. You can look at the circle. In the Western astrology, they show the circle. The Vedic seers, especially Parashara, the great sage of astrology, said you can use a circle, you can use a square, you can draw it different ways. In this circular form, the dome of the sky above you, the dome below you, is very valuable because you can see the different energies. And the first energy is going to be, that's coming up, the energy, that's going to be you. Then it follows the same as the seasonal numbers. The numbers I had here, about first your creative energy, then nurtured, family, then communicate. So it follows very much the same. So the first sector is you, your family. Then number 3 is your siblings and how you express yourself. Your home is number 4. Number 5 is your creative energy. That's like the Leo energy, you know, that creative energies, powerful energy, children. Then the 6 is, and these are called houses. These are sectors for the individual chart. So number 6 is all about service and day-to-day activities and healing, how you heal yourself, how you focus your energy, your consciousness. Then this is connecting. Number 7 is connection with people. Number 8, so number 7 is connecting to people, relationships. And number 8 is like Scorpio. It has that quality of transcendence and going deep and kind of nurturing relationships, how happy you are in relationships, your past lives. Then your purpose in life, it's very much like Sagittarius, you know, that what we call number 9 sector, when you worship God, your Dharma. And then you've got your action. That's the 10th. That's like Capricorn, action-oriented, first time of winter. It's connected like that. Then you've got Aquarius, your the number 11, your achievements, your connection to your peers and your older brothers and sisters, we could say. Then you've got your 12th. That's the transcendence. It's very much like Pisces, transcending, letting go. It's also foreign countries. If that's where you are, that's the furthest from you, so that's foreign countries. So if depending where you have planets here, you can tell a lot about where you invested your energies in this lifetime. Speaking about the soul wanting to experience certain things. So how do we draw it in the different, if we're talking now Vedic astrology, we showed the circle, how you do it in, say, Western astrology, where you mainly have a circle. But what about Vedic astrology? How do we, so the seers were kind of charming about that. They said, well, we kind of like this corner idea. You know, we like this corner concept. The corner's concept is seeing where the planets are most powerful. Above you, below you. So above you means that they'll really animate the 10th house of action. Below you at the time of birth, they really animate the 4th house of home and kind of your psychology. Your 4th house is also your sense of security. And then they could animate on the horizon, that's the other, your relationships, or it could animate you. Okay. So you have these different areas which are involved with power spots. If planets are there, it gives you power. So in North India, they decided to use something like this. So this dotted line represents a, we're doing everything as corners, 4 corners. This is the horizon. So they kind of lifted it up saying this is the starting point. And then